One of the key things in this whole high value thing is learning that you're going to have to sacrifice. Anywhere you go, you're going to have to invest in coaching. You're going to have to do crap jobs, work long hours, stop looking for the fast track, quick. You're going to have to worry about the long, slow, deferred gratification. All the things you hear, and anybody who's been successful will tell you a lot of these things. And trying to work around or do it for cheap or get over on somebody is the quickest way to make your name mud with people who could really help you. Because I would tell you, these guys talk. And if you think you're going to hustle somebody to like, oh man, nah. So here's the thing. High value. So stay on track. Henrys, high earners, not rich yet. That goes for men and women. And the difference between the Henrys and the previous generations were waiting to live life after retirement. These generations are wanting to live life now. The key is balance. The key is balance, in my opinion. You can still plan for the future and live a good life now. Because today, many people aren't getting married as early and they're not having as many kids. So it's different. But you got to realize the most important thing in high value is understanding time is the most important thing you have. Time is the most important thing you have. Money, resources, power, status, influence, network, gravitas. These are some components of increase. These are some components that you want to increase. Now understand something. I'm an image consultant. And yes, I am a successful guy because I've tried many things and I've failed a lot. But as an image consultant, I deal in reality. Reality, outcomes. I don't deal in theory and what could happen. You notice that a lot on my show. I'm always talking about outcomes. Reality. I don't deal in what could be or what should be. I don't deal in principled arguments. So in my world, things are very black and white, which makes gray, which is what you see me wear a lot of times. Black, white, but most of the time you see me in a gray pinstripe suit. If you watch the Game of Thrones, I'm going to give you some ideas. Tywin Lannister, the House of Lannister, in the real world would have run that show. J.R.R. Martin made that show to where, or the book to where he died. In the real world, they would have been the Medicis. They would have been the Roosevelts, the Rockefellers. They would have gone on and on and on. So I'm going to go into the alternate universe for the Lannisters. And I'm going to make them black because I'm black. I'm going to make them black. And we're going to call them the Lancasters. No, we just call them the Lannisters. And they can still be white. It doesn't matter. But here's the point. Tywin Lannister was never trying to be the king. He was concerned about power. Power and influence. One thing that made Tywin powerful is he never sought the top job. Too many of you guys trying to be high value, you want to be the number one. You want to be a king, especially you black guys. You want to be the one out in front. And I'm sorry, the market gets to decide. The market gets to decide who's out in front, and there's only one lead singer. Think about the five heartbeats. Everybody's fighting over the microphone. No, you want to control. You want to own the studio and the music and the masters. Damn, own the microphone. There's always some new star. Be the hand behind the throne or the ear of power. Tywin Lannister would have gone on and on and on and on in the real world, and that's the OG. That's a truly high value man. You know how he's a high value man? Because even as crazy as Joffrey was, King Joffrey, when Tywin Lannister spoke, Joffrey shut his sadistic self up. Tywin Lannister was so cold that when Joffrey as king, I am the king and da-da-da-da-da-da, and going off and he said, I mean, he was roasting Tywin, right? He was capping on him. He was calling him all kind of sissies and fags and this and that and punks and wearing purses and all this other kind of stuff. And what Tywin Lannister said? I think the king is tired. That was it. I am not tired. I think the king needs some rest. And then his mother, the queen, the maester, jumped up. Every powerful person in that kingdom at that table moved on Tywin Lannister, saying, I think the king is tired. Maester, maybe some essence of nightshade to help him sleep. Tywin Lannister put the king to frickin' bed. The king had the mic right. Tywin understood power, and Joffrey understood power. And power lays where the people put it. Joffrey was the king, but nobody ever mistook where power was. So, Tywin Lannister. And in my version of Game of Thrones, Jaime Lannister would not have gone to the Knight's Guard or the King's Guard. French toast that. He would have been right under his father, as he should have been, as an apprentice, learning how to do what he should have done. Remember when Jaime was in Tywin Lannister's tent and Tywin was skinning a deer or something like that? And he was saying, I need you to become the man you should have been. Jaime Lannister was born into a position of power and principle and influence, but he threw it all away. But in my telling of Game of Thrones, Jaime Lannister will continue to move on. That's the guy who was born under a father who could teach him something. But I also need to move you into another world, the Littlefingers of the world. In my version, Littlefinger would have kept on living. In my world, Varys wouldn't have been snipped. In my world, you'd have had Jaimes, you'd have had Varys's, and you'd have had Littlefingers. And they all would have been high value, Henry's in training. They were all vying for the next step. And there were 3 different ways of doing that. There are multiple ways, but there were 3 different ways. Littlefinger trafficked in information. Varys trafficked in secrets. And Jaime was an accomplished man who actually had the outward trappings of power, but he still needed to learn some things. Now, in the real world, let's not get too far off that. So basically, this is how I think about things. You understand who Tywin is. You understand who Jaime was. You understand who Littlefinger and Varys. Those are the people who ran, what was it called? Westeros. Millions of people. King's Landing, 1 million people in that city, run by a handful of people. Like I said, high value men have always been worth. Can non-select men be high value? Varys was non-select. You don't get much more non-select than no fun bits. But anybody want to dispute his value? I'm sorry, I missed Tyrion. My bad. Tyrion. You had Jaime, who had the jawline, but he didn't have the discipline. In my world, Jaime would have not gone to Kingsguard, but he would have had to stand back. But Tyrion was born the direct opposite, a dwarf with a mentality. And in my world, those two would have worked together to surpass Tywin. Because they wouldn't have gone and done the Cain and Abel. They'd have worked together. Jaime would have been the front man. Tyrion would have been the back, the guy behind. They loved each other as brothers, and they wouldn't have fought. They would have worked together to say, this is how we do this. No one will ever accept me as a dwarf and as an ugly little sawed-up dude as king, but I will be your hand. Brother, you will be the king, and we will run this shit. Not only will we run Westeros, we'll go take Easteros, we'll go make dragons. Why is this important? Because Littlefinger and Varys show you that you can increase your value. Tyrion and Jaime show you that even if you were born into it, it's not a guarantee that you're going to maintain it. It comes down to choices.